save. Look at that. Is that right off the face? Yikes. That's world class, though. Look at that ball coming in. See that gap, holds position, and lets it hit. And then you shift it.
Arm.
Was that your arm?
No, that was total face.
It was your face. It was your face.
Okay.
It was your face. It makes me. I will interject right now because Lauren, UCLA's game yesterday sent me a clip, and she goes, and then this happened, and she saved a face, like being big right off her face. I'm like, hey, it's not in the back of the net. It's like you got the shutout.
So
but look at this.
This clip because you want us to work on face saves at camps.
I think your insurance just went through the roof. Great clip to start with, Mike. Okay. So I'll put my coaching hat on right now. If you're incorporating this into clinics or into your camps, and you're working on through balls, the thing that's key about this, number one, everybody's starting position is going to be different. Casey, obviously being Shaq, can have a higher starting position, right? And so what you want to get away from in the clinic and coaching is that you don't want people to get too close. If Casey comes too close to this ball with your height, you're kind of you're putting yourself in a difficult situation if she slots the ball low. Right. Number two, we see a lot of camps and clinics. Don't do it. Don't do a drop save or a K save here. You're too far away from the ball. Right. So we see that. We see kids doing that. So incorporating through balls and everything into your clinic is key. It's in the game. It's every goalkeeper has to do with it. But how each goalkeeper deals with it because of their size, strengths, and everything is important to focus on as well.
I want to say this in regards.
Was that what you were asking us to do, Mike?
Absolutely. So that was fantastic. It's almost as if you've done this before. I want to add on to this, and in case they tell me if you agree as well too, because of the coaching environments that you've been in, is that incorporating defenders in these 1v1 activities is so massive, because I see so many times at camps or clinics, it's 1v1 with no additional support. And that's not realistic to the game, because it's not just you the amount of time it's just going to be you by yourself. I mean, is going to be very, very, very low percentages. There's always going to be a chase. There's always going to be more than one player generally on the attack as well too. So adding those elements, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good point. And then also, this is a live scenario, right? So I wouldn't start with scenarios like this. Obviously,
really?
Build into it. And I think when you're building into it, you can use mannequins, you can use dummies.
Yeah.
If you have extra goalkeepers available, that's great as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And then I think incorporating the defenders, like live defenders, is where I would end.
No, yeah, absolutely. You're going to start off with the different scenarios in like an educational platform of like, all right, here's a through ball. This is this scenario. These are the different ways to handle it and stuff. And then you build. I love using live goalkeepers, not mannequins. So if you have extra goalkeepers, now you rotate them, and now they're your defenders or the attacker that is getting the ball slotted to, and you rotate it. And then the end result is you bring the field players in and you play, or you set up these scenarios. I wouldn't start with this either, and definitely not the face save.
By the way, I had a face save yesterday, and they said that it wasn't.
Mike.
They said that it went out of bounds. They said it didn't. They didn't make contact. There was a goal kick, and I was like, I kind of want to take credit for that. It did hit my face.
Okay.
It did hit my face. Alvarado brought up a great point right here, Case, and that is love to incorporate communication with something like this. Is that another wrinkle that you would add, another layer?
What do you mean by communication?
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, the communication should have been done already. So now with the through ball, if she's still talking, I'd be yelling at her, going like, why are you still talking and communicating? Just focus on the situation at hand. But yes, if you're in a game-like situation, then I think you would start communicating with your defenders, which way to push and everything. But I think in this immediate through ball situation, you shouldn't be communicating anymore.
Yeah. And that's a part of my game too that I've been trying to continually improve as well, is like learning how to organize and communicate properly to the back four in front of me. So that's a good piece. It's obviously takes a lot more time, and watching a lot of games on your own and asking questions to the coaches at practice as well as what they want their defenders to do. But that's definitely a good point, is like, how can you communicate so this I'm not in this scenario.
Yeah.
It happens to me every time now the ball gets closer to the 18, I start getting a little Saskia on my shoulder saying, it's like, stop communicating, stuff, focus on the play. Because
it's true.
I
it's
I
like
used to be such
it's
a
like
bad
I said
player for
last
that.
time. It's like I've seen, people still communicating the balls in the back of the net. Like, like, hey, weak side. I'm like, hey, pick the ball out of the near post net now. I'm glad you organized your weak side too late and they're still talking about it. But the ball, there's a time and a place for it.
All right, let's get into another action here that I think is something that definitely should be worked on in a clinic here, and that is scanning and passbacks. So this is an example right here of KC, and I love what you do right here. This is against San Diego Wave. There's the back pass, and you recognize that there's a separation mismatch up high. What's up, Antonio? Can you hear me, man?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, dude, I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly, man.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, look at this. Too much USA going on here. Look at all of this. Unbelievable.
Still a work in progress.
Hey, it's solid though. I like it. You got Team USA, you got Angel City, you got your Adidas jacket going.
Because it's cold.
I put on a Union hoodie and it was too hot for me. So I feel like I need to turn down the heater in my place. Antonio, where are you at right now? Are you in Dallas right now or are you with national team?
I'm in Dallas right now. Yeah, we just ended the last camp 2 days ago, I think. So yeah.
Nice. And the senior team was there too, right?
Yes, it was a joint camp between the men's national team and the U20 national team. So it was it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Did you you got to get a few reps against the senior boys?
Oh, a decent amount. We had a inter squad at the end, and I had a nice save against Paul Arioli, so it was kind of nice. Talked a little bit of trash with him after.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing at all, man. Nothing at all, man. No, I love it, dude. We'll save a lot of that stuff for the show right here. But yeah, your audio sounds good for me right here. Saskia, how's everything on your end over there? I just set up the Union stream here.
I am good.
Good. So we will start in about 3 minutes if anyone needs to go take anything. Guys, if you're joining us, we are going to start at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Central time with Antonio Carrera of FC Dallas. You see how I rolled my R's there, dude?
Oh, that was class. I didn't expect that from you. That was amazing.
He practices it all the time.
I just stand in the mirror and I just go, Antonio Carrera.
I believe that.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it.
Oh, man. No. You're fluent, right?
Yes. I'm fluent in Spanish and English. Yeah, and I know a little bit of German, but not really.
Okay. Yeah. You're just throwing that out there in case there's any scouts listening. A little bit of German.
Hey, you never know, man.
I love it. All right. We will get this going. We might as well just get it going since everybody's here. Let's do this. Here we hold on, let me toss this off. Let me get this comment off here. All right, everyone nice and strong. Get the banner here. Do you like my play-by-play? Figuring this out? There we go. Always. This is Saskia. This is why we play the video beforehand of the last episode. So people don't have to listen to all of this. Here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from a very rainy Hollywood, California. With me, wearing her hoodie, wearing her hat, all ready for the elements that we've got going on here in Southern California. The one and only 99 World Cup winner, Saskia Weber. And joining us, somebody that knows a little bit about national team duty as well. We've got FC Dallas goalkeeper Antonio Carrera. I'm very proud of myself for that. I think my Venezuelan mother will be very proud as well, too, with the way I pronounced that right there. Oh, man. Antonio, what's the weather like in Dallas right now? Is it rainy out there, too?
Right now, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It started raining about 30 minutes ago, so I'm happy to be inside right now, not outside.
Oh, you gotta love it. Well, see, I don't know if you know this, Antonio, and I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've gone to, Dignity for like national team camps and stuff. It rains here in Southern California, Susquehanna, what, twice a year?
Maybe.
Maybe, maybe twice a year.
We need it. So.
Oh my! But I literally hear the horns honking outside right now. I hear like the split splash. Like people are freaking out, like it's the apocalypse. Like they can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean,
all.
you don't want to be in a car or anything because people don't know what they're doing. And coming from the East Coast, it's like you just want to rip your hair out.
I mean, dude, it's like last night I played and there was a little bit of moisture on the field, and people are like, "We just can't move. We can't move on this field. Like we're slipping and sliding everywhere. I don't know how to do this."
Well, my favorite thing is usually clubs like cancel practice because like in this, and it's not rain like like torrential. It's just a little bit of like moisture, dew, and they cancel practice. Like we can't play on a wet field. I'm like, what?
No, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I mean, dude, Antonio, like honestly, you guys train in Dallas. Like as long as there's no lightning in the air, you guys are good, right? You'll just keep going.
Yeah. No, 100%. As long as there's no lightning and there's no danger for anything, we'll train
tornado sirens, the whole 9 yards. No, it's ridiculous. Like even when I was at UCLA, I'd be like, okay, we have practice in the gym today. And I'm like, what? Why?
Practice in the gym. That's amazing. Well, speaking of that, Antonio, this is an interesting segue right there. I'm not sure how relevant it is to the gym. Let's see if I can make it work to the gym. You put in a good amount of time at the gym. I've seen a lot of the videos that you got out there, man. You've got a whole team behind you. Why don't you talk a little bit about Team Carrera, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Team Carrera. It's kind of it's our own family brand, because my older brother also plays professional in Germany. He's been through the national team ranks. I have a little brother and little sister that are in the academy here at SC Dallas, and they're gonna be big too. They're both gonna be national team prospects very soon once they're older. So, it's a team brand that focuses a lot on our core values, which are about God, about being together, about being united, about being supportive, being a family, and having each other's backs. And we try to convey that message to everyone. They're not alone. This life, it's not easy. So to just keep going, have faith, and enjoy what you do. Always do it with a smile.
Dude, I love seeing that. And Saskia, I think, this whole family, and obviously not everybody's going to have, siblings that are also national team prospects. That's just amazing. But I think for a lot of young players out there to see a bunch of different people going through this journey together and showcasing it together, I think is really important.
No, absolutely. I wish my brother was a national team prospect. I'm always like, sorry, mom and dad. Had Damon been me, then we'd all be retired. He would have gone over. He would have played for Man U. He would have played for Barcelona. He would have had like a $40 million contract, and we'd be like, it'd be fine. But I love you, Damon. You're the reason I am where I am.
So,
oh yes,
yeah. So Antonio, how did that happen? How did all of you end up getting involved in the game at such an elite level? Because that is a little rare in the game. I mean, obviously you've got the Aaronsons and you've got a few other families out there, the Beaslers and things like that, who have multiple siblings that are playing professionally. But you got the brothers and sisters all playing. Like, did your family have a soccer background, I'm assuming?
No, that's the funniest thing. My parents, none of my grandparents, none of my parents, none of my cousins, uncles, great-grandparents, none of them played soccer. Maybe in the street every now and then, but to be honest, they weren't good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like, not to be mean to them. Much love to my whole family, but nobody, none of our descendants, nobody has ever been good at soccer or athletic for that matter. But yeah, I don't know where it came from. I think it started with my older brother. He was the first one that got into soccer, and then we kind of just all went in, and yeah, I mean, we're kind of obsessed with it at this point.
I came from a lacrosse family, so, but that's not true, because on my Dutch side, I had pro soccer. My uncle and stuff, pro soccer players. Grandfather, pro soccer in Holland. But as far as here in America, it was a lacrosse. It was, where I grew up.
I mean, speaking of growing up, Antonio, one of the really cool things, having you on the show as well too, is I think there's a lot of people out there that have this misconception that a lot of players of a Latinx background, are not interested in playing for, the national team, for the U.S. national team. And I think, people like yourself, and I see a lot of it here in Southern California, represent how you can be embracing of both cultures that you come from, and make a decision for yourself that's right for yourself and for your family.
Yeah, I mean, I love the way you put it. I think it's exactly that. It's us Mexican Americans or Latin Americans. We're kind of our own group, because we have so much love for both countries. So it's kind of like let's say my mom and my dad. My mom's USA, my dad's Mexico. You can't decide. You have just so much love for both of them, and it's just unbelievable. Like, yeah, I'm to be honest, I feel like I'm lucky to be able to say that I'm Mexican American. That I'm Mexican and American. So I love it.
Yeah, I kind of love that. The energy, though.
Yeah.
I mean, when Mexico plays the U.S., gosh, it must be crazy in the house. I mean, I know when the U.S. played Holland in the World Cup final, it was crazy. Like, my mom had both flags outside, like everything going on.
100%. Whenever they both play, it's kind of like you're rooting for both. Pulisic will shoot, I'll make a great save. I'll be happy and sad at the same time, and vice versa. So
yeah.
Now I got a question. Dude. Antonio, has your hairstyle, was that at all based on Memo Ochoa during his heyday?
You know what? When I was younger, 100%. But now I think I kind of just put a little bit of my own style into it, and now it's, now you can say he copied me, but.
Oh.
I mean, dude, it's becoming iconic, and I don't know if this is intentional or whatever, but U.S. Soccer seems to be using your face all the time when it comes to the youth national teams. Like, it's every single time they're like starting 11 for the U20s, and it's a picture of you like this. Like, and I'm like, well, aren't there other players on this team? What's going on? They're always showing Antonio.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm good friends with the admin, so with the social media admin. So yeah, I don't know, but I'll take it.
I want to talk about this, really quickly with you, Saskia, because you're obviously bringing up your Dutch heritage and everything like that too. And Antonio obviously having the Mexican heritage. A lot of times we talk about how a lot of players, especially at the youth levels, are told to play a certain style. This is how we play, yada yada, and negate anything from another culture or another region as being quote unquote wrong.
Well, I think that's changing a lot now. I think that you have old school coaches that have that mentality, but I think that, there's so much crossover, obviously now, and especially with, Mexican Americans playing like on the women's side, playing here in the States in college and excelling and playing in the NWSL and then going and playing for their, South American countries, everything. There's so much crossover. I don't think that that's as prevalent as it used to be.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
If I could add to that, yeah, I completely agree. And something that I've kind of, as I've grown up, that I've seen is you kind of, because I've had coaches that are Latin and their goalkeeping style is very Latin based, and then I've had more old school coaches where it's more technique and the fundamentals. And what I've figured out as I've grown up is you kind of have to find a balance between all of them and see what works for you and kind of make it into your own style for goalkeeping.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think, one of the cool things about, the world right now, and obviously, Saskia, we've talked about this in regards to the social media explosion during the pandemic, for instance, Antonio, just to kind of give you a little bit of a background, Inside the 18 started out originally as just an audio podcast. And then we all had nothing else to do during the day. For like 2 years. So like every day we just got online and just started going live streaming and everything like that. And so many people started putting out content like that. Do you feel that started exposing a lot of young players to things that they had never seen before because they'd only seen things from their local coaches?
100%. And, I could also be an example of this because I've been following you guys, I think since like mid-pandemic, you guys would keep coming up on my feed and a couple other pages like that. And, you see,
we can be annoying like that.
Oh, I'm not complaining. I'm not
I
complaining.
know, I'm just kidding.
It's very good. Yeah, but yeah, I think it helps a lot of goalkeepers, especially goalkeepers that haven't had the best training with the best coaches. Having podcasts and social media outlets that are this good, as good as you guys. I think it really helps them so they can learn without having their own personal good coach.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to what I was saying. Like, I think that kind of that old guard has changed because now with social media and now seeing other styles, seeing your like countrymen excelling in other countries and everything where you didn't have access to that before, it kind of changed. You have to change or adapt your coaching style or understand that there's a gray area now. Where before you were just kind of locked down unless you like rewound the VHS tape that you got or whatever it was. Like, you had what your coach said was gold. And now you can understand that there's different answers and different to every question.
Absolutely. And by the way, Antonio, the fact that you're 18 years old, like, insane.
The fact that he laughed at the fact I said VHS and he knew what it was.
No, you're so eloquent for an 18-year-old. It's absolutely insane.
Thank you.
But no, I mean, dude, but honestly, I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact in regards to like, hold on a second, guys. Someone's knocking on my door. And Saskia, continue the conversation real quick. I don't know what the heck's going on right here. We're gonna have
oh
to.
My gosh, is it like a fire alarm? That's
what
happened.
They can't handle the rain.
No, they can't. I'm telling you, they can't. They're like, is it raining in your apartment? But no, I think that you're right on point with that. Is that being able to see multiple styles because of social media kind of has changed the forefront of goalkeeping coaching. Period. And I remember the days when you had a South American goalkeeper and they had a certain style and that was it. And there was nothing else to it because they had no, they didn't know any other styles. That was the only way they were taught. But now you can find it yourself.
Yeah. And I want to update everybody right here on what's just going on right here. Because everyone's holding with bated breath right here, I'm sure. But Saskia and Antonio.
Antonio said maybe they're knocking to complain about the rain.
So this is what's going on. I'm not joking you. Shout out to our wonderful head of maintenance over here at the building at the Chateau Apartments right here, Abel. But the poor guy was trying to knock, and I've had my headphones in, so I couldn't hear him. So he just started pounding on the door because apparently there's a leak.
I told you.
You had it down.
I called it. I said, I guarantee you. I said, watch, there's going to be some kind of a leak going on because it's raining.
Because it's raining. Antonio, we are not in a hurricane. It is raining.
It's not even like you don't even need a raincoat. It's not. And there's a leak. Am I right?
Yes, there's a leak because that's how unprepared we are for the rain.
And you live in like a huge apartment complex. Like you would think.
Yeah, it's insanity. So I feel so bad. That's wonderful of them to be able to check on me like that, making sure that I'm not swimming in my room and everything like that. So, let's shift over. No pun intended. Actual total pun intended in today's topic. And today's topic is, oh God, I hate myself for that joke. Body shifting, guys. Body shifting and shifting your weight. Antonio, you're really good at this. For parents out there who might not understand what we mean by like shifting your weight and all that, like, what do we mean by that? Oop, did you?
Oh, he's asking you.
To me.
I was asking you. Yeah. My bad, dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of like the word shifting your body weight. Is which way you're leaning, which way you're going, like the momentum of your body, all of that. Just being able to control it and being able to use it to your advantage instead of it letting it hurt you.
Mm-hmm. And I love the way you just said that, right? Instead of letting it hurt you, because Saskia, I can't tell you how many times I've seen young goalkeepers who actually overshift their body, and it actually does a disservice to them rather than help them.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about multiple times is that those micro movements, that's laterally, you don't want to be caught shifting. You don't want to be caught moving and caught in that shift when the ball changes direction or when the ball's shot. So it's those little micro movements so you maintain your balance and you're able to get set and in proper position. I think we had a comment on the union. Was it on the union?
Did.
Okay.
We did.
So
yeah.
asking, I'm going to address this. So
Okay.
asking about like people like that wide stance.
Yeah.
And this is actually a really good point for this. So if you're taking that super wide stance, the ability to shift laterally is really diminished. And to make those micro movements, think about that stance so wide outside of your shoulders. So it's those little now.
I'm actually going to pull it up right here. So this is the clip that this guy PJ put up on here.
Right.
See how wide? Yeah.
So he's talking about a wide stance on the shot, but imagine if the shot, he didn't take the shot. So imagine if he pulled it back and you're in that wide stance, right? So if he cuts back and the defender goes flying by and you're in this wide stance, your ability to take a quick step laterally to reposition yourself is it's hindering you. So if you keep that gate closed a little bit, if he cuts back, now boom, now you take a quick shuffle step and you're back in position. Out of a wide stance like that, you're going to get caught and you're going to be flat-footed and it's a goal.
Yeah. Antonio,
that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. You know, with the problem with the wide stance, it's good. Obviously, it's good for saving shots because it's just a bit different technique that just has come up in the last couple of years, but if you get locked into it, you can't move. You know, you kind of if you're playing with the wide stance, you have to find the timing of when you're gonna do it, of exactly when he's gonna shoot. Because if not, you kind of it can take a while to shift and to move to a different position.
Yeah.
And what the answer that I gave to PJ, that the coach in Finland, about this on the Union recently, and if you guys want to check that out, just go to the Union app because it's in the engagement forum right there. I think it's one of the first few ones that you'll see recently, because there's been a lot of conversation in that one. Is that if you're going to, if this is the final action, but you have to start in a narrower stance, and then literally right before the guy hits the ball, you'd have to drop into that wide stance. My problem is with this is you start teaching kids how to do this at a younger level, foundational age, you know, Saskia and Antonio, and then they start doing this regularly because they don't understand the context.
And the timing on it. But again, this is a very wide set, and he gets down well. But my thought process on this, if this ball goes high into the upper corner, near upper corner, he's not going to get the explosion to it. I think it went low. So I think because his wide stance was low, he could get down. But if this goes up and this is his set position, he's getting beat with pace. And so those, to be able to get your shift on, regardless, you know, you have to be balanced, and not just on the final action, but be able to adjust.
And my thing here, you know, and maybe we'll just keep this right here real quickly here, Antonio and Saskia. And I'm not trying to negate you, PJ, if you're watching right now. But
I'm answering his question.
I mean, my thing is that, is this action still savable if you have a narrower stance? I think it is. I think that you don't need this wide stance to make that save right there. I think if you're in a more balanced stance, you have the option, if the ball is hit, and what if it's a mishit? What if that ball's hit and he mishits the ball and starts bending? Exactly. You're caught already going in that direction. But if you're in a more narrow stance, I still think you can drop your shoulder and get down quick enough. It's not that far away. Yeah. I mean, look and see where that ball is.
But I think we find this stance because you get the kick in. Right. So if it's a driven ball low, then I'm going to kick my foot out. And if you have a narrower stance, can I kick my foot out and everything? But I still don't think I still think you're holding yourself back from what we're discussing, is getting a shift on and a quick micro step to actually readjust if you have to. And you're right. You're absolutely right that, you know, if this changes this situation, you're stuck in this.
Yeah.
I think it was a great point.
Antonio, I want to bring this up right here too, really quickly, just using this example. And again, this is just opening up the conversation, PJ. I don't want you to take this negatively whatsoever. We appreciate everything you're doing on the Union, sharing this content.
No, but this is what we want. We want an open conversation. Yeah.
But Antonio, like my question to you, you're obviously playing at an elite level, both elite. I always joke because we had another goalkeeper from Fulham a couple of weeks ago, and we say you're kind of like in between, you know, the youth spotlight and the professional spotlight. You're kind of like young professional spotlight. But that at that level, players can read these triggers as we're reading triggers and cues of the field players. They're reading triggers and cues of the goalkeepers. So if they start recognizing these types of tendencies on the goalkeepers, they're going to adjust how they strike the ball.
Yeah, 100%. For me, it's when I think about all this, like about what you just said, I think about a quote. It's not, I don't know exactly, and I don't remember exactly who it was. I think it was the old West Ham goalkeeper coach, and he said something about, especially like 1v1 situations where the striker has the time, or he has a shot. Don't go down early. You know, the striker already has the advantage because he has the ball. You know, we don't have the ball. We're the ones that have to make the save. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the control away from him by not going down early, by not showing what we're gonna do before he shoots it. You know, by making him say, "Oh my gosh, like what like keeper hasn't gone down," and now he's almost in his mind, he's panicking because he knows he's got a defender behind him. So now we have control of the situation. For me, that's just the most important thing. Just don't go down too early, but you also have to get the timing down to make the save.
You're looking at me smile because you know that's how I feel. I'm like,
I think Saskia's got her new favorite youth national team men's goalkeeper.
but it's so true, and
it's so true.
We talk about this all the time. Like, don't make the goal easy for them. Don't make the shot easy for them. They're waiting for you to either come out and keep going. They're waiting for you to go down too early on a K save. They're waiting. They're waiting. But if you stand them up, then they are freaking out. They're like, and because they also have pressure coming in on them. I was just going over the Angel City FC Houston game when Haricic made that huge breakaway save in the second half, just now at the end of the season, and that's what she did. She came out, she closed space, and she stood it up, and there was no place for the attacker to go. And you saw the panic, and it was a like errant shot that Didi made a huge save on. Had she gone down too early, had she come out hell-bent, the ball would have been put right by her.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. And like to add to that, if the keeper just goes down too early, you're not going to make the save unless you get lucky, pretty much.
Unless you get, I always say, unless you get hit by the ball. That's what I always say. I was like,
exactly.
That wasn't
you're
a
not
save.
making a save.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're getting hit by the ball. You're not.
That's what I like to say.
You're not doing the correct action. So
people look at me and they're like, "Oh, great save!" I was like, "They got hit by the ball." I was just like,
it's funny that you're saying that too, because I think, you know, Saskia and Antonio, at the youth levels, I think one of the things that happens is a lot of goalkeepers, they start getting, and again, I don't think we should be overly critical of young goalkeepers because they're exploring and everything like that, but the players aren't as experienced, so they will panic and they will just hit the ball at the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper thinks that was a great action. So just dive at their feet, and every single time you're going to get the ball.
Reinforcing, yeah. But I think also, if we go back to the topic, the shift as well, if you come out and you get yourself too set and too like kind of too wide of a stance or too whatever, now if that player can read that as well at the upper letters, they're going to take a touch, go by you. Now, how are you going to move laterally? How are you going to shift if you're not in the correct body shape and position to take those micro steps, and now jockey him to the left, jockey her to the right, and shift your body?
Yeah. I want to bring that back. You know, thank you for getting us back from the tangent, Saskia. I was a little flustered from from the 1 inch of rain that we've got outside. It's just been freaking me out this whole time. But Antonio, I think a lot of young goalkeepers need to recognize, and you're a great example of this, and we'll watch some clips of yours later on. Sometimes no movement is the best movement. Just trust your positioning and trust that your shape is good.
100%. Sometimes, exactly, too much movement could actually hurt you. You know, sometimes I'm at fault at this, more for through balls that they hit, because I like to be on my toes. And this is something that Aaron Hyde, the men's national team coach for the US, he told me, he was like, because sometimes I'll take almost a step back and then accelerate, because it kind of helps me get out quicker. But what if I work on it so that I just push off right away and don't take that step back? You know, how much quicker will I be able to get to the ball? Just because maybe if I have calmer feet and I just push instead of having jittery feet and then stepping back and going forward, how much more that'll help me like get a foot more than maybe a couple inches, but that can be the difference between a save and a goal. So.
You know what I did to overcome that when I was younger is I worked with our sprint coach at Rutgers University, and I learned how to start from a solid position and step forward. Because when you're a sprinter and you're coming out of a gate, you're coming out of the whatever those things are called on the ground, your first step is forward. So when you watch like a football player do the 40, you don't want to step back to go forward. Your first step has to be forward. And I worked with our sprint coach to get that into my system.
Yeah, no, 100%. Right on the off season, it's one of the main things I'm going to work on.
Yeah,
so I'm excited.
Track coach helps.
Yeah.
And Antonio, I know that the Team Carrera does a lot of work off the field. What are some of the other activities that you've been doing that kind of been helping you with your body balance?
Just going to the gym, like she said, like I've been working with the track coach for the last 3 months, and honestly, it has helped me a lot. Just with the quick accelerations, because it's something, and explosive accelerations, because it's something that you really need as a goalie, and just that gym work and a lot of hip mobility.
Yeah, I always say that to my goalkeepers. I've always said, I don't need you to run a 40 faster than anybody. I don't need you to do a 120. I don't need you to do anything. What I need is for you to be the fastest person over 5 yards.
Exactly.
Like your explosiveness and your acceleration, because everybody listening, an attacker is coming at you already moving. And you're, for the most part, standing still. So if that through ball comes in and they're already moving, that you're already a step behind. So if you're the fastest and most explosive person over 5 yards, over 7 yards, then you can get to that ball and beat them to that ball.
But by the way, I absolutely love, Antonio, how you brought up hip mobility, because I think that's something that a lot of young goalkeepers don't recognize how important all that trunk area is.
No, for me, especially this year, I think it's what I worked on most, if I'm being honest. Getting treatment, most of it was just in my hips. Before training, I do a lot of hip mobility and a lot of shoulder mobility. It's something that I find very, very necessary. Thank God right now I'm very mobile, but still, like, season just ended, and where am I hurting right now? My hips are a bit sore.
Dude, you're 18 years old. You're not hurting anywhere, dude.
I know.
We're both hurting because it's raining. Okay, so let's talk about real things. I'm not listening to you being in pain, but the hip mobility and everything goes back into being able to shift again your body weight and everything.
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to talk a little bit about physical qualities, because one thing I also said to PJ when he made that post on the Union, when I answered him back yesterday in the forum, is that you have to look at the physical traits of a goalkeeper, because their physical qualities are going to determine what's best for them. It's not every goalkeeper is alike. For instance, Antonio, you're what, like 7'4" or something like that. You're very tall. You're very tall with a longer limbs and everything like that. If you take somebody like Nick Raimondo and you tried to get them to move the way you do, it's not going to be effective for them, right?
No, not at all. Yeah, like you said, I'm 6'4", but my wingspan is 6'6", almost 6'7". So
he's like, I'm not gonna be Jordan.
Yeah, almost.
Well, that famous poster, Wings, because your arm span is longer. Your arm span is supposed to be the same as your height, right? From middle finger to middle finger. But for some people, like you, like me, exactly, it's longer. And like Michael Jordan.
And not me. Not me.
I was gonna say
I did that, and I was like very disappointed. I was like, oh, this is very average. This is very average at best. It's a solid 5. It's a solid 5. But I think that's a problem, Antonio. And I'm sure when you were a young goalkeeper coming up, you had goalkeeper coaches who tried to train 4 or 5 different goalkeepers literally the same. And you probably started getting frustrated. You're like, dude, that dude's 5'3". Like, and you're trying to ask me to move like that guy, and we're built so differently.
Yeah. No, 100%. Luckily, I was lucky enough whenever I came here to Dallas. I think I was 10 years old, and the keeper coach, and both Nestor Merlo and Raul Hernandez, they're honestly, I got really lucky, because they are both really, really good coaches and really they're really open. So, but the funny thing about me is I wasn't tall growing up. I was one of the shorter kids. So like whenever everyone was about 5'8", I was about 5'4". I was still the goalie, but
But then he
yeah, I wasn't the
exploded.
tallest.
Yeah,
Exactly.
hold on a sec.
I think that actually helped me a little bit
There's
because
hope in sight, Mike.
Yeah, I'm still going on that Pilates machine trying to stretch myself out. I'm still trying to do that.
But think of the difference. Well, think of the difference of learning how to play goalkeeper at 5'4" and then waking up one day and you're 7 feet tall, and how that changes how you have to kind of relearn certain things, because like you grow fast. I would go away for a summer and come back, and the kids I was coaching were now taller than I was. But now all of a sudden it changes, and for coaches it changes the way you have to train that goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially, when we're talking about that adolescence, that kind of beginning adolescence phase, Antonio, where everybody's kind of growing at a different rate. I think young coaches out there need to be patient with their goalkeepers and explain to them that, like, you might not be as good as you were last year because you're going through some things physically right now, and it's going to take some time for your body to catch up. But I'm going to be patient with you. You have to be patient with yourself.
100%. No, I mean, I think you hit it right on the chin. I mean, there was a year when I think I grew 7 inches over the summer.
See, I told you.
Yeah, and it was
7 inches.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. It was crazy, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Mike, go stand in the rain. Maybe you'll grow.
Antonio,
Antonio,
did you wish upon a genie? How did this all happen?
No, I don't know. In my mind, I never thought I was gonna stay short. I always had
In
confidence.
my mind.
Yeah, in my mind, I mean, I always said, and being short never affected me. Like when I was growing up, my favorite keeper was Keylor Navas, just because I wasn't tall. I mean, I couldn't touch the crossbar till I was 14.
I think that
kind of crazy now.
But I think going back, like, kind of to the topic, it is interesting because with your height, how you are able to shift is totally different than, like, someone at 6 feet, when you were 5'4" and grew 7 inches. And now it goes back to relearning how to handle your body and shift laterally is going to be totally different. And it goes back to what we're saying. If at 6'4", if you're taking too wide of a stance at that height, how are you going to shift laterally compared to somebody that's a little like a Nick Raimondo, who's a little more like shorter and compact? It's a totally different way of coaching. You have to coach everybody differently.
Yeah. And I think, one of those things too, in regards to coaching everybody differently, that I want to bring up is that everybody moves differently. Everybody has a different way that they handle shape and in regards based on how they're built and everything like that. But one thing that I think personally stays constant, Antonio, is staying forward. I see so many young goalkeepers that, like, they shift their weight to adjust to a shot, but they shift negative and they go, oh, it's because I need that for momentum. Actually, there was a guy, again, don't want to put anybody on blast, but this is why we do those conversations on the Union page in the engagement forum. It was a D1 goalkeeper, Bergendorf, and he went, he's like, oh, I need to take a negative step in order to get the momentum to go. Antonio, why don't you tell us why you personally think that you can stay forward and still get that momentum?
I mean, for me, just staying forward helps you almost in every aspect. Making the save, you feel more confident. You're bigger in the goal, everything, and even, I mean, this is something like fundamentally staying forward. If you're diving backwards, how much of the goal are you not covering because you're like diving forwards, you're cutting off way more. So I think for me, the only time you would be diving backwards is if they cross it in. You have to dive backwards in order to get the ball, because if you dive forward, you're just not going to get it because of the angle. Exactly. And then that way you have to go almost dive backwards and like push it out of the goal, So
yeah, and that's more of like that's more of like a split-second reaction save.
Exactly.
If anything, I think that also, you brought it up earlier, is that by taking that step backward, number one, you are making the angle worse for yourself. And number two, that's a split second that you've lost.
Yeah.
You know, and again, it's the same thing as we said about coming out. Like if you take a step back to go forward, it's a split second that you've lost. So if you're loading yourself by stepping back to get momentum, that's a split second that you've lost.
And I think honestly, I think that's especially with a lot of young goalkeepers, I think it's because their balance is off to begin with, and then they're trying to compensate by taking a step back to build momentum type of a thing. I think if they start in a better balanced set stance, they're not going to have that same type of issue.
Well, what do you do when you're off balance? You step back to balance yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a natural reaction for anybody.
Yeah. Also, one thing I would like to add about that, I think kind of goes with, you're leaning backwards and stepping backwards is if you're in a set position and you don't get a reload, like you're just stuck in it. Like say you're in that position for about 4 seconds. As you're starting here, slowly you start going back more on your heels and keep going back more on your heels, and then you're more straight up. And now he shoots it and you're locked in and you can't push off. So getting those small reloads, not a big jump, just those small reloads can help you stay forward and stay big and stay ready to stay reactive for the shot.
Stay active. If your body stays active, yeah, you can reset. I think I'm going to go to the first PK saved in the MLS Cup in the final.
Yeah.
Right? Watch his feet. Watch that he loads really quick before he makes that first save. Okay? And it's not a step forward, which we used to do back in the day before there was before somebody was calling you on it. We used to take Anna Scurry is the most famous one, but
3 steps forward and
we used to take the step forward to load. But what he does is he's not stuck. And he's not running side to side. He loads himself really quick and gets the push off. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those quick reloads are very important.
I want to start bringing up some of these actions of Antonio's here because I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And by the way, Antonio, dude, do you do any coaching on your? By the way,
because on what exactly?
Goalkeeper coaching. Do you do any goalkeeper coaching?
No, I'm not a coach.
He's only 18.
I know, but we start him young nowadays. This guy's.
Yeah, let him play. What is his time?
Sorry.
No, let him have a life.
I love the game. I love the game. I love the game, and I'm a student of the game, so I like to be knowledgeable about everything.
For all you young especially. For all you young goalkeepers out there listening to this is why Antonio's at the level that he's at 18 years old. This is why he's a professional MLS goalkeeper at 18 years of age, because he really puts the time in to not just learn it from a physical standpoint, but from a tactical and a mental standpoint. So I really encourage a lot of you young goalkeepers who are listening to this right now to share this with the other young goalkeepers out there. I think it's going to be very, very good for you guys. Okay, so let's do this right here. I'm going to pull these up right over here. Okay, so let's start right here. This is against Scotland, I think it is. Antonio,
yes,
this
Scotland.
is 60. Yeah. Now, speaking of rain, this was rain.
Oh, Mike, you don't even know. Mike, this was terrible. That's not rain. That's a hurricane. That's a thunderstorm. That was the field was so bad. There were puddles in the field everywhere. Like you hit the ball. If you hit in the wrong part of the field, the ball's it's just not gonna move. It's amazing. I think that's the most rain I've played in my life. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I'm not gonna lie, it was fun. But
I literally wrote in the notes here, soggy ball towards the end line. It's a soggy ball towards the end line, laid back by the number 2 into space for 19, who hits a one-time shot at Antonio. Now, because of the weird, and I think a lot of things, we need to talk about how elements can play a fact in this. Because he hits the ball across you slightly shift because it takes this weird. I think slightly, right?
It got very, very small,
But that's my point. This is the exact same spot and the exact same ball that was shot in that clip you showed earlier, Mike. And look at your set position. Look at, you're not too wide, you're tight, and it's deflected, so you can make the shift with your body that you need to bring it down. Boom! Exactly. End of the podcast.
And Saskia's so happy you held on to the ball too.
Yes. Hold the ball.
That was. I think that was one of my best catches of the season just because the rain was terrible. My gloves were soaking, and it was a full stretch. So it was just tips. It was just the tips of my fingers. So for me, that's one of the best catches I've made in a while.
I love what you brought up here, Saskia, in regards to his stance right there. If he had been wide, first off, he probably would have like dislocated something or like strained something because it's so wet. Go ahead.
But had he been wide, would you've gotten the push you needed, the shift on the push, the little micro step to actually hold on to this and bring it down? Maybe you would have gotten a hand and been able to deflect it, but not bring it down. But with your stance, which is really good, and your positioning off the line, by the way.
Thank you.
With the deflection, boom. Had you been too deep, you're not getting there. Now you're scrambling across the goal.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. I mean, situations like these where everything's so close to you. It's inside the penalty area, so everything's so close. Your movements are not going to be long. It's not going to be a big movement, so it's got to be quick and short.
Yeah.
Kind of like you saw here. I just quick turn, small shift. And boom, you just go.
You got 3 hearts right here from Eveli.
I'm like, is that for me? Thanks. I know I'm best. Thanks.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh, by the way, this came up from Team Carrera. Just send a picture by WhatsApp on how short was Antonio. I feel like we need to pull that up.
I think there are a ton of kids out there right now that are like 5'4" and like 13 or whatever, or 12 going, oh my God, I'm going to be 6'4".
Yeah, we're all going to be what we're going to be, guys. Don't, you can't force it. You can't force it.
Well, apparently he manifested it.
All right, let's move on to this next clip. I apologize for the quality of the video right here. Not everything at the at the reserve levels are the greatest footage, guys. So this is I think this is North Texas versus Minnesota 2. This is the 6-minute. What happens here is there's a shift. I think Aziel Jackson plays the ball out again. Very similar position right here. A little bit farther out, right, Antonio? A little bit farther out than the last one that we saw.
I think maybe a half a step or a quarter step. Yeah. Not much, but just a little bit.
So you take a shift to kind of get a little bit of a higher position right here. The shot's hit with pace, and you recognize that you need momentum. So you kind of do the kind of the kick out. It looks like right here, but you don't have a wide stance.
No. But that goes back to what you were saying, Mike. That even you still can get there, with that. So it's just that kick out. I love your recovery right here. Play it. Keep playing it, Mike. Watch his recovery. Boom.
Boom. Ready for the second ball like that.
Right. Recovered.
I love
body weight forward. Back in a nice tight stance. Body weight forward. Ready for this. Boom.
Yeah. And one thing I really love about that too, Antonio, that a lot of young goalkeepers is that when they make an action like this, they just become a spectator.
Oh, they're waving to the crowd saying, "Hey, just see that save."
Yeah, exactly. And you're looking for ball line, and that's why this guy mishits it off frame, because by the time he tries to strike, you're already up and big, and he didn't see you before.
Yeah, I mean, it's for me. The play is not done until either you have it in your hands, ball's out for a set play, or there's no more danger. It's far gone. So
because you make a great first save, and the ball was a rocket. But if this ball gets put into the back of the net, all right, great first save, but the ball's in the back of the net, so you got to finish it out.
Exactly.
And I think what I like here at too, Antonio, and I think if any people can see this, I know that the footage isn't the greatest here, but it's that shoulder drop. That's all you need. You don't need to take a step. You just need to drop your shoulder to get your body there. Boom. Like that.
Yep.
And then the last thing, the forward stance right here.
But look
Remember
at
how we were talking about the negative?
Yeah, because look at the angle but by the time you're off this podcast, you'll want to go play because we're all very positive here. But because of the body weight, you're not on your heels. You get a solid hand to this and where the ball goes, as opposed to, like we were saying, being on your heels, flat-footed or anything, and now it's a negative save.
Yeah, 100%.
Because look at that. look at that. Look how he stays positive even on the action. And again, I think a lot of young goalkeepers, they drop that shoulder the second, even if they drop their shoulder down to get momentum, they drop it back, and now that save, that looks weird.
I love that your hands.
You get what I'm trying to do, though. But you get his hand would, his body would be more angled into the space of the gap of the goal, as opposed to, and you probably give up the rebound, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I also think, look at his position. Again, I'm going to go back to this, and if you're not watching, you're listening, your positioning off your line is so important here too. Like I'm sure, I can't imagine he could see any of the goal.
Nope. I hope not.
All right, let's move on to a little bit better footage here. Oh, look at that. Look at the quality there. That's when you know that's when you know you're playing pro.
That's when you've arrived.
That's when you know you're playing pro. Except for in Suskia's days when they played pro and they played on that standard definition television where it did look like this, and that was the national broadcast. So, okay. Oh man. Okay, so this is a free kick. I think this is in your highlight reel, Antonio. I think you've included it in your highlight reel, because this is an unbelievable shot. It's a 48th minute. It's a free kick. It's about 25 out right there, so you can kind of see where your stance is right there. Ball's about 25 out. You've set up your wall right there, and it's just hit over this wall, but you get a little pre-hop. Watch this little pre-hop, pop, and then it's the shift. And then that's world class right there. Yeah. I mean, Saskia used to pull those off, but other than that,
well, I would hold
most
it.
People can't. Oh, you would hold it.
Oh, I love it.
Sorry, that was too easy.
No, I love you. I had it coming. You had it. I respect it. I love it.
So Antonio, what are you seeing first off here when you're setting up this wall? And did you have any did you know any tendencies of this player beforehand?
I think this guy had maybe 4 free kick goals in the season, maybe 5. So I knew coming into it, I knew he was going to shoot it, and I know it was going to be a good shot. So I put my wall, and it's like what I like to do is so let's say the free kick's coming from my right side. So my wall's on the right side. I like to have my right foot almost in the middle of the goal. That way, he shoots it to my left. I should be able to save it unless it's one of the messy wonder shots, But even then, everything's savable. But and there, I feel like I'm in a good spot. I can see. For me, it's very important to see the shot being taken. Because if you can't see the shot, if you're just reacting right after, exactly. If you're reacting after the shot went over the wall, those are seconds lost. Those are milliseconds lost. So being able to see the shot, you see it's going that way, get a small shift, small hop, and
yeah, that's really important. You said that. So a lot of young goalkeepers have to understand that even if you're off center and out of position off your wall, you have to be able to see the ball. And so you always set yourself up so you have some sort of a sight line off the end of your inside of your wall so you see it. And if that ball comes far post, you see it the whole way. If it comes over the wall, you still see it. And you know that it's coming over the wall because then it disappears for a second. But that's so important.
Yeah.
100%.
And it's great that you all are saying that right now, because I think that a lot of young goalkeepers out there, and then we will show the action again, they get so excited about the fact that they feel they've set up this wall in such a great position, and then they just stand behind the wall, and they're like, "It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, if it goes over the wall, yeah."
I even tried, like, for me, if they were to put a man like 15 on the end of the wall, I'd still set up so I could see do wall. Like I'd still pull myself out of position more to the left, and so I can still see the ball, because that's the most important thing.
Well, I completely agree, because if you can't see the ball, it's time that you're losing. It's and a second in a free kick shot can be 2 steps, or it can be a foot or 2, and that's the difference between the save and the goal.
Yeah.
And so with that right foot slightly in like that, now we notice that you kind of have that extra momentum to get you across here. But again, I want everyone to see, look how positive he is. Look how forward he is in this action. If you had gone backwards here, that ball's in the net.
Yeah, but I also think that when you see his little micro shift, his little preset, it's still square, right? So it's like set, okay, it's coming over the wall and he's going, as opposed to we see a lot of players that their first movement on this is to guess, in a sense, is to kind of start leaning over the wall and then you're beat far post too early. So it's a good save. And no, I wouldn't have held it.
You sure about that, Susk? Look where that ball is. You sure you wouldn't hold that? You wouldn't hold that. It was only literally going to hit the post and go in. You know. You sure you wouldn't have held that?
It's a great save. But look at how you're right. Look at how positive you are with that shift. You're able to load. You're still coming forward, attacking. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at the amount of ground you're covering. Because when you land, look how far past the post you are.
Yeah.
Watch, play it. That momentum and that power you get off, and look where you are. You're 3 yards on the other side of the post.
Yeah, and that's a great point to bring up too. Is that if you properly shift your body, Antonio, you're gonna go past your point of actual connection. And a lot of young goalkeepers don't recognize. They try to go to the point of connection as opposed to follow through the point of connection.
Right. I mean, because if you go and you do that, you're getting blown into the back of the net. What do we say? Here we go with Newton's law, right? If you try to put a wall up and shoot a bullet through it, it's going to go through the wall. But if you hit something with momentum and you're still going, you're going to redirect it.
Yeah. Exactly. Here's a comment from Juan Gomez. He goes, "From my humble opinion, these are great saves. Antonio has great foot coordination. If a goalkeeper doesn't have good coordination, the hands will never get to the ball."
Agreed.
Shout out to Juan. Please let us know. And by the way, guys, when you start making comments, please tell us where in the world you're watching the show from. We always love to hear. It always helps us out in context too. Okay.
And look, your hair's not even messed up.
Yeah, dude.
It was a good hair day. I don't know.
Good hair day. All right, let's move back to here. A little bit better quality. Gotta love the standard def. So this is against the San Jose Earthquakes. Player dribbles to the nth line. It's like the 69th minute. He cuts it back. Boom. This dude chips it. This is a hard situation because this dude just gets a little flick on this ball towards you. Woo! Great save. Oof.
Yeah, could have been a bit better. I think I tipped that over. It's no danger, but yeah, good save. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll give it to you.
I'm a bit
perfectionist.
I'm analytical with myself and a bit hard. So, but no, it was a good reaction.
But I think let's start it from the very beginning here. So, what are you seeing right here, Antonio, as this player's dribbling to the end line right here?
I mean, I see one. There's no danger of shooting. I see the first striker, the striker that's going to the first post. See where he's at, and with that, I can position myself in my where I am positioned. Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, sorry, I started studying. I see the first striker, the striker that's going to the front post. I see where they're crossing it from, so that knowing all this, I can position myself where I need to be.
Okay. And your back post is marked.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's well marked too, which is really important. Boom. So see, and look at this. How many young goalkeepers, and I was almost going to do the thing with my hand again, so maybe I'll just slow it down. Look at this. How many young goalkeepers right here before the cut with the cutback fly across the goal? But it's just a little adjustment with your body weight. Boom.
Yeah. No, just a small shift. So a small shift is all you need.
Yep.
And stay balanced. Stay balanced. Exactly. Stay balanced. Stay up. To have trust.
And this is actually, we'll bring this in. There's a little readjustment negatively here. Because if you don't, it's possible for another goalkeeper. See the little negative right there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That for some goalkeepers, if you don't make that slight shift, back to the theme, an adjustment, then that could get blooped over you.
Exactly. And I mean, it also, that small quarter stepping back gives you that much more time of reaction time, which is the difference between a goal and a save sometimes. Absolutely.
Now here, if we want to nitpick right here, Antonio, because you seem to want to nitpick yourself, what do you think was the issue here? First off, that shot's from like point blank range, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good save. Now that I'm seeing it back, I think it was a good save. It's okay. It was okay.
Saskia would have held on to it. Saskia would have held on to it with 2 hands.
It's a good save. And, you know, the thing about it is it's actually not coming with that much pace. So it isn't. So, you know, that's probably why it didn't clear over the crossbar. But at the same time, this is a solid save. There's nothing, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, good. Yeah. Good save.
Let's talk about this, though, shifting body weight wise. So you're trying to recover and you're trying to find where the ball is. Look at his positioning. Boom. Right there.
Right away.
Right away.
Yeah.
I want a lot of young goalkeepers to see this. So if you're listening to the audio, please go and find the video footage as well, too. Because, Antonio, you're so good at recovery movements. And we always tell goalkeepers that, as Saskia always says, never follow one mistake with not saying this was a mistake, but never follow one mistake with another mistake.
Right. But I think what allows him to recover so fast is his, how do I explain this? Your head is not like, it's not a single cylinder attached to your body, right? You immediately switch your head to find where the ball is. See that?
Mm-hmm.
And then your body follows, as opposed to like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I know you can't see me if you're listening to the podcast, but I kind of like turn my whole body in one motion. Turn your head, get your eyes on the ball. Your body will follow.
Yeah, man. I'm
100%. Yeah. I mean,
real.
I think she put it right on the dot.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
She does.
Today.
She does that sometimes. She is on. She is on it today. All right. I got one more clip I want to show right here. And this is not a soggy a field with the national team, so that must have been nice. This is the under 20 championships, right?
Yeah,
under
the final. The final.
Oh, the final. Big time, man. All right. Big time. You guys won it, right?
Yes, yeah, we won it. We brought it home.
Good job, Mike. Good job.
Okay. I was freaking out for a second. I was like, yeah, I hope they won. No, I'm joking. You guys were up by quite a bit. This is against the Dominican Republic. What happens is I think number 2 dribbles the ball, slips a ball into number 4, who then lays the ball back to number 2. And again, I want everyone to see this right here. Look at Antonio. The movement is so slight. Boom, just like that. And then a set. Mm-hmm. So when the ball is hit, it's just a simple drop and recover, covering that space right there. Didn't need to take a step because he already had his angle covered. And I think a lot of young goalkeepers need to hear that. If you have your angle covered, you might not need to take a step.
But again, it's a slight shift. It's not a huge shift. It's just a slight little turn of the body, hips, everything, a slight shift, body weight still forward in good position. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. Set. Boom.
Antonio, anything you want to add?
No, I mean, I think you guys hit it right on the dot. You know, just be efficient with your movements. If it doesn't have to be big and long and wide, don't do that. You know what I mean? If it's just like this one right here, just a quick, short movement, make it quick and short right there, and then you just stay up, trust yourself, trust in your abilities, and you will make the save if you have just trust in your abilities.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Is that stay up and trust yourself, because what you see in this, it's so in tight. And so if you're listening and not watching, this is a ball that's slotted right by the penalty, maybe like a half a yard in from the penalty spot, center of the goal, and you shift. You'll see a lot of people that will just shift and go and try to drag that back leg if the ball's shot back near post. And instead you shift quick, a micro movement shift, and you're set and you're big. And now you're like, okay, where are you going with it?
Oh, Saskia, 100%. Like, how many even at the professional level goalkeepers do we see overrun that near post, and then that ball's just slotted near post every time?
It's going back the way it came from, and you're dragging that body and that leg because your shift is too late, it's too wide, and you're still moving while the ball's being hit. Instead of, this is a quick shift to the hip, micro movement, and I'm set. Boom, and I'm set. And now he can hit it any direction, and you're on it.
Yeah.
I think, Antonio, too, I think a lot of young goalkeepers need to see actions like this and recognize that, you know, if you hadn't done all these steps, they could have made a meal out of this action. But because you did, it looks simple to the uneducated eye, but it's not, because all those different layers had to come into it in order for you to be in the position to make it look easy like this. I want a lot of young goalkeepers to understand that. I see a lot of young goalkeepers, they kind of like skirt past, actions like this in highlights or whenever they're watching TV, and they go, oh, that was easy or whatever. And then they just look for these top corner saves and they go, oh, that's what I want to replicate. But I'm like, this is the game.
But I also think that most keepers right here, okay, the glory save, right? A glory save in goalkeeping is that slotted ball when you're pulled like towards one side, your near post, it's slotted across, the person goes far post with it, and you keep going and you make that save, right? So a lot of young goalkeepers have that in their mentality. Well, he's going to go far post, I'm going to get across, I'm going to go. But instead, to be able to shift and be set quicker than that person has time to shoot that ball, now you give yourself multiple options.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And something to add to this, and this is maybe a bit more advanced, is almost reading the striker, not just his like where he is on the field, but also his positioning. If they're crossing the ball in and his body's closed off, he's probably gonna go to one side or the other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a bit more advanced. That's a bit more later on whenever you're playing against like I had to use it this camp against, like, I'm playing against Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris is if he's gonna slot it in, he's gonna slot it in. You know what I mean?
So, and you're right. So like if he, number two, if he opens up right now, he's going far post.
Yeah.
But to close his body and swing that leg the way he did, he's most times coming back across you.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe it's not so much directed to this exact save that we're seeing right now. It would be more for a cutback ball, and your momentum is completely shifting and it's really close, and you almost have to make really quick split second decisions. But it's also against a good striker, and it's a bit more advanced. But it's something that I've had to use recently.
By the way, as we kind of break up on this, I want to say shout out to US Soccer for giving you boys the opportunity to play against those first team senior guys. I think that's just massive. And as Saskia has always said, like, in order to get to that level, you have to see the level. If you never see the level, if you're only playing against, youth players or whatever, you're not going to know how to handle. Obviously you're in a professional environment at FC Dallas, but it's a whole other thing to be, with the national team. So shout out to US Soccer for that. So got to say something positive about US Soccer, right?
Of course, always.
All right, let's start wrapping this up right here. So one thing I want to bring up with all of you guys right here is, Antonio, do you have any advice on any goalkeepers who have difficulty, especially like a lot of young goalkeepers who kind of, we're talking about getting stuck in the mud, and they kind of just get stuck, and then they can't move their body, like on how to learn how to shift their weight and trust their body?
Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously the main thing is practice it. Practice, do drills, create situations where you have to do this. It could even be by yourself, just mobility work, all this. Oh, going back to mobility, having good hip mobility, and not locking out into one set position. Having quick reloads. If you have to, obviously, you get set for the shot, you get set for the shot, but you have to move, get a quick reload. Don't just, don't get stuck and then try to move once you're already stuck. Get a quick reload and then move. And then one more thing that I would like to add is, or that I've said like 2 or 3 times during this show, is if the play is asking for quick short movements, do quick short movements. If the play is asking for long fast movements, don't reinvent the game. The game is invented. Yeah, I mean, it sounds funny, but yeah,
no, it's true.
Don't reinvent the game. The game is invented. Just do it and
I love
apply
that.
the correct situations to the correct situations. Yeah.
I love that. And Saskia, I can't tell you how many times I even had this conversation with a goalkeeper yesterday, and I said, play at the pace of the game. If the game is playing at a certain pace, you play at that pace. If the game is playing at another pace, you're playing at that pace. Because if you're playing at a different speed, slower or faster, you're going to be off.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Let the game come to you. Don't go to the game.
Yeah. Well, dude, Antonio, we're going to have to do this again, man. I mean,
for sure.
I mean, dude, you are welcome anytime. You absolutely crushed it on this show
I've been saying for sure a lot lately, and I think it's because I moved to the Valley.
Oh, no.
I'm serious.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay,
oh, my
sorry.
God. If people want to connect with you, where is the best place for people to connect with you and Team Carrera? And do you guys have any events coming up or anything like that you want to share?
Yeah, if to connect with us, Instagram. If you have any advice, if you want any advice, you have any questions, you can DM me. You can DM the Team Carrera page. We're open. You can even if you're not a goalie, you're a defender. You can DM my older brother, who's a world class defender. We're all open to help. If you have any advice you can send us clips. You can send us whatever you need. And especially right now that I'm in the off season, because MLS has the longest off season I've seen in my life. I'm open to help anyone that needs help. You don't have to be a pro to get good advice. It can be from anywhere, and yeah, we're open. And no, I don't think we have any events coming up. My sister has an event, Alianza, which is kind of a national showcase where it's hundreds of scouts from the Mexican national team, American national team, and it's a beautiful event, and that's starting today. So
that's right, Alianza. That's right.
Yeah, just follow that on our pages, and stay in contact with us. And you guys need anything, we're here. We're here to help.
Awesome. And obviously you all know that you can connect with us at the Union Soccer Community on all platforms, guys. Here is a smart link right there. It's interactive, fully engaging. Share your own content. Subscribe today. It is completely free. Shout out to everybody who's been engaging on there. Antonio, I love it how you pointing down like that. I absolutely love that, man. We're excited to have you to come on board as well too, and we can't wait for you to start sharing some content too, and all of Team Carrera, whoever wants to get involved, because it's been really, really a cool process so far, Saskia.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Sorry, my phone went off. So
oh, no worries.
You can edit that out.
That's okay. If you want to contact us, guys, obviously you can DM at Goalkeeper Podcast on the Union Community. If you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, you want to get a little meatier, you can DM there, or you can do contact at insidethe18media.com or at Goalkeeper Podcast on all socials, but especially the Union. That's really where we're trying to get all of the DMs, because it gets overwhelming. And also the thing is, for all of you, if we don't follow you, or you're not a verified creator or anything like that, it goes to our spam box. So it's much easier to get us on the Union, because it goes to a DM that we can directly see. So if you haven't gotten us, it's much easier that way. Obviously, if you want to reach out, hold on. There's a question here from Juan Gomez real quick. If you have a second, Antonio, are you cool?
Oh, come on. I'm here all day.
Okay. From question to Antonio, have you had a moment where you wanted to give up and stop playing goalie? If so, what did you go do to get better?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think I had a moment where I wanted to give up. I think obviously there were days where I was like, oh, I have to go train. Like emotionally, everyone has those days, whether it be with soccer, with work, with anything in life. But I don't think it ever got to, thankfully, because I have a really good support system now. I don't think it ever got to a point where I said, I just don't want to do this no more, and I'm thankful for that hasn't happened to me, and I hope it doesn't happen to me. And for me, just an important part is having a good support system. Yeah. And for me, the most important thing is just having good support system, whether that be a family member or a keeper coach who's there by your side asking you like, hey, is everything okay? Like, who's there to help you. And one thing that has helped me a lot that my keeper coach told me, I think when I was here at Dallas, Raul Herrera, and when I was like 10 or 11, and it's just kind of like what like my life model now. It's kind of funny. It's a really good saying. It's don't get too high on the highs and don't get too low on the lows.
Yep.
Just stay, keep your head at all times. You have an amazing game, maybe the best game of your life. Okay, celebrate, be happy, obviously, but you can't get too high on the highs, and you might have a bad run or a couple of games. You can't get too low. So if you get too low, you can't get too low on the lows. You can't get too high on the highs. And for me, that's just something that I like to live by.
I love it. That's a great way to end the show, guys. Well, that's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys. Antonio, stick on for a second.
Yeah, of course.